Welcome, everyone. Here they are, the sports writers. Phil Stacy, Matt Williams with us from the Salem News. And we think Nick Giannino is going to join us here briefly, or at least we certainly hope he will. And let me just get that off of my screen. And it's not happening, but you guys don't see that anyways. But Phil, I'm going to begin with you right away here and try to get a little unconfused here, if you will. But you were at a huge softball game yesterday, somewhat a historic softball game, I suppose, for these times. A Beverly win over Peabody, and historically the piece is a Peabody loss in the Northeastern Conference.
Yeah, a lot going on over there. I've been to 2 Beverly softball games this year, and both times they've won in walk-off fashion. So get your Vegas odds in next time I'm going to a Beverly softball game, I guess. Kind of crazy yesterday. Great pitching matchup between, of course, let's go ahead and call her, if not the state's best hurler, then certainly in anybody's top 3 or 4 in Abby Betancourt. And the very promising Beverly High freshman, Lydia Medema, who also threw very well yesterday. Back and forth game. There's Nicholas, how are you?
Yeah.
He might have been actually mourning the death of his Los Angeles Lakers from the playoffs last night, I'm thinking.
Yeah, that was tough, What can you do?
About as tough as LeBron with that fan along the sidelines that I saw a highlight of.
What is he faking her out or something? Did you see that?
Yeah, he kind of gave her like he was going to go after. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. Great game yesterday in Beverly. Peabody was up 1-0. Beverly got 2 in the bottom of the 4th. Peabody came right back, top of the 5th, scored 2. Abby Betancourt, Lizzie Betancourt, big bats for the Tanners. Logan Lamazny, great base running play to score. It was actually a 2-run play in the top of the 5th. She was on second. Abby was on third. Lizzie Betancourt ropes a single into the hole at shortstop, where Jasmine Feliciano at Beverly dove to make a great play. Wasn't going to be able to get the runner at first. Betancourt scored. Betancourt scores from third. That ties the game. But Logan just kept running. I mean, it was total heads-up play. And by the time I think Beverly realized it, she'd already crossed home. So Peabody has the lead. They take that into the bottom of the 7th. Beverly draws a 4-pitch walk to start. There's a single. There's a hit by pitch. Hit by pitch actually brought in the bases were loaded. Nobody out. Hit by pitch brings in the tying run. Abby strikes out the next batter. But then, of all things, a pass ball brings home the game-winning run for Beverly. So pretty dramatic win for Beverly. It's their first time beating Peabody in almost 5 years, 59 months for those who are counting. And as you said at the start, Bill, it's almost equal of importance is that it's Peabody's first loss in the conference since 1989. Now, really, 2019. My goodness.
Well, Taylor Swift on your mind, maybe. I don't
know. Millennium thoughts, I guess. Yeah.
Who are you, Bill Newell? Come on, straighten up, Bill. Come on.
Peabody with a 23-year winning streak. That'd be something.
I mean, that sounds like I don't even know if Buddy Henry pulled off that much wins.
No, I think he won like 15 CCL titles in a row, but not 23. I know it's 1:00 in the afternoon too. I should be awake by now, long awake by now. Willie, you looked up and said it was Peabody's last loss since May 15th. Now I know the last time Beverly beat Peabody was May 8th, so they must have had a loss, obviously. 1 week.
Danvers, yeah, it was Danvers.
Okay, against Danvers. So we're trying to figure out how many games that is, because I think like the number of conference games has changed a little bit since then. But I mean, I'm pretty confident in saying it has to be 40 plus games that they had won in conference play.
Yeah, it's got to be at least 10 a season. It's probably in the 40 to 60 range if I had to guess, which, is pretty good. I mean, compared to Marblehead boys lacrosse, Marblehead football, Beverly cross country. I mean, there have been a few Danvers baseball that were probably longer, but
yeah,
I think in terms of the days, in terms of the number of days, it's got to be one of the longest. Even if the games don't add up. So right. I think the day, 1,000 days? I mean, it's even longer than Roman Reigns' title reign.
I
You had
remember
the
that.
days, you had the days filling the story, didn't you, today?
I did, yeah. It
Yeah.
was like the first loss in something like, what was it, 1,800 days or something?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Okay.
That's what Siri told me anyway when I asked her. So
You can, oh, I thought you were
I
counting.
just said, "Hey Siri, how many days ago was May 15, 2019?" And she gives me the answer. So there you go. It's your journalism. How'd it work? In any
And
case,
not for
Beverly's
nothing.
6-0 now, atop the conference. First time in forever. PBD is now what, 4-1, Willie, in the conference, I want to say. The
I
one
I only keep
non-league
track of the
loss to
losses. It's really all that
Fenwick and then
matters.
a non-league win.
And Marblehead is also undefeated in the conference, so let's not, overlook what Tessa Francis is doing. PBD goes out of the frying pan into the fire here. They play them on Wednesday. I'm not sure when Beverly and Marblehead are going to lock horns, but the race is on now, right?
I would say so. Yeah. It's definitely a race. And Steve Lemazny gave me some great comments after the game, not only about, he's very complimentary of Beverly about how they took advantage of the opportunities they had, but also the fact that they, and I'm not putting words in his mouth here, but that they weren't awed by Abby, which I think a lot of teams can be with that overpowering fastball she has. I think Abby throws, what is it, 6 or 7 different pitches between a changeup, a curve, a rise, a sinker. She could just blow teams away. But Beverly went up there with a hitter's mentality yesterday, and they made contact. Weren't always for hits, but they did make contact. And he was saying that, that's what they had to do. They waited out her pitches. She threw over 130 pitches, which I'm guessing, I don't know this, but I'm guessing that might be a career high for her.
No, she got to 150 a couple times in a state tournament. I want to say she was very close to 130 against Bishop Fenwick a couple weeks ago.
All right, well, there you go.
Yeah, softball's kind of the pitch counts get up there pretty.
Well, I'm guessing that she, would be making quick work of a lot of teams. I'm guessing she's generally what, 75, 80 pitches somewhere in there.
In the
a full
past, there have
game.
been a lot of long games so far this year. I don't know. This year's been a little different, which is kind of interesting. Can't take things for granted, I guess. You look, new coach, new catcher. It's a work in progress for them, and it's nice to see. I noticed the power rankings. I'm surprised they're still fourth. I would have thought they would have fallen quite a bit with that loss. So that's a huge credit to Beverly and the non-league schedule Beverly plays as well too.
Yeah, and you did mention Willie, Beverly and Marblehead when they play. I just had a chance to look it up quickly. It looks like they're only playing one time this year, and it's May 13th at Beverly. So we'll have to follow and see where their trajectories go from this point forward. But
Yeah, maybe Marblehead's in like the Lynch then. I don't know. Maybe they're
yeah,
not in the.
interesting too that Beverly did not move up in the rankings either. They stayed at 14, which is surprising. The rankings that just came out, an hour and a half ago.
All right. I want to leave some time. I just want to tell our listeners, I want to leave some time for a little Celtics and Bruins chat here at the end here. So maybe in the sense of streamlining things here, as I look at the clock here, why don't we, Matt, and then I'll go to Nick, maybe a highlight or two from the week that you want to share with us. We can't go through everything, I don't think, but maybe something that, Matt, maybe you want to share something, a story or a note that from the past week or something ahead coming up this week.
Well, it's certainly a note that a lot of people are talking about is St. John's Prep baseball getting no hit 2 games in a row and shut out 3 games in a row. You don't see that very often. I've heard a lot of chatter, a lot of people asking me what's going on there, and hey, that's baseball, as they say, right? They were able to rebound and get a win on Monday against Malden Catholic, so their second league win of the season, and hopefully things are starting to fall into place over there. I mean, they've got some really, really good hitters, so that's the best thing about baseball is you get 20 of these things. If you have a bad day, you come out and have a good day the next time. But I think some eyes open certainly around the North Shore and around the state, wondering how a team could get no hit 2 games in a row. But I mean, that's just baseball, right? Sometimes you swing and miss, and you want to be up there getting aggressive, and hopefully they'll be able to adjust and kind of see where things are going to go going forward from there. I noticed they jumped up in the power rankings today too, a little bit. So certainly no fears of missing the state tournament if you're St. John's Prep, but I'm sure that they want to be playing better than they're playing, especially offensively. And again, I talked in the preseason about how I'd like to see them play with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and maybe something like this is something that can kind of create that us against the world mentality, people are doubting us type of thing for them, because they certainly have the talent to wear out opposing pitching if they can get the right guys to heat up at the right time.
Good stuff. Nick Giannino, what do you have? What can you share here?
Well, definitely worth a highlight in Gloucester baseball. They've been playing some really good ball, coming off a pair of wins over Beverly over the weekend. They had that resumed game from the season opener against Beverly where they went to the 10th inning. So they picked that one up in Beverly and took them 5 innings, but Gloucester finally exploded offensively and ended up pulling away for a 17-6 win in, I think, 15 innings. And then they go back to Gloucester and they beat them there too. I believe that score was 11-9. But Braden Francis, he's got to be, the early favorite here for NEC MVP. The kid's pitching tremendously. He's thrown, I got his stats right here. He's thrown 21 innings. He's got 23 strikeouts. His ERA is at a 1.0, and offensively he's hitting team high 450 with a number of doubles. So he's off to an awesome start. They're 6-2 now. I think they're number 5 or 6 in the Division III power rankings. They're playing some really good baseball. They're going to get into the meat of their NEC schedule now, and we'll see what kind of damage they can continue to do. But with Braden Francis, their ace, and then Giacomo Martel, another strong pitcher who's been hitting well as well. You got Ben Mello, who had a couple doubles this past weekend against Beverly. So they're really putting it all together. Definitely deserve some shout outs there. And then it was sticking on the baseball theme. Manchester Essex, haven't talked a lot about them this year. They're right around 500 battling. And a kid that's caught my eye from them is Troy Flood. He's been just absolutely mashing the ball. I don't have his stats in front of me right now, but it seems like every time I look around, he's got 3 for 4, 4 for 4, 4 for 5. I mean, he's just hitting the ball really well. He's got a couple home runs. He's got a bunch of doubles, and Manchester's hanging right in there. So they got some good young talent. I think this is, a sign of what they're going to be down the road in the next couple of years. But they're putting some things together, and then, like I said, right around 500. So, but keep an eye on Troy Flood. He's been tremendous for them.
Good. Bill or Matt, you want to touch on lacrosse or a quick note on lacrosse at all for us?
I mean, it looks to me as though Marblehead has found its groove again. A couple of early losses, including one that we've talked about where they had their conference winning streak snapped, that long 60-plus game winning streak. But they're on a nice little roll lately. They've won 3 or 4 in a row. They had their second 1-goal win of the season over Beverly on Monday, trailing 4-0 early, came back, held off a late charge by Beverly to win 8-7. They also just got one of their captains, Elliot Pluce, back. He had missed the first half of the season with injuries, so he's back. He's going to make a strong team that much stronger. So they're playing well. We don't talk much about Ipswich, and that's my fault, but they've been playing very, very well. Glenn Foster, in his 40th year now in Ipswich, more than 325 career wins. They remain the little engine that could. They get 20-odd players out for the team, and they just continue to crank out wins. As of right now, they're 5-1. They only play a 16-game schedule, so they may not have played as many games as some other teams, although they are playing later today at Hamilton Wenham, their rivals. But they've been outscoring teams in a big way. They've been getting some great defense from the likes of Nolan Hickey in goal, guys like Christian Janikakis, Caden Sopik, Sam Saroy on defense. Will Harrington's been lighting it up for them offensively. Finn Wright, Luke Weil, sophomore, playing really, really well. Charlie Elder, Jason Clapp, Chris Burns, Louis Harrington's been terrific on faceoffs. So Ipswich is off to a really, really good start. As I said, Hamilton won them today for them. And then I think they have Amesbury coming up after that. And then a big one next week at Newburyport. Newburyport has been the class of the Cape Ann League the last few years under Josh Wedge, great coach up there. So that'll be a clash to watch next week when Newburyport comes to Jack Welch Field to take on the Clippers. To take on the Tigers.
Clippers versus Clippers. There you go.
Clippers, yeah.
All
Barbershop
right.
convention.
All right. Let me think here. We mentioned, Matt, you were mentioning baseball, and I wanted to bring in this note. We talked about the Endicott baseball team a couple of weeks ago. I think it was #1 for 6 straight weeks now. And they just don't seem to have that happen to them. In other words, an upset loss or anything bad happened to them. 33 wins now they have, and just 2 losses during the course of the year. 33 wins, 2 losses. I know they're playing today as we speak, but I think they're down to, they'll be after today, maybe 4 regular season games left, and the league playoffs, and then probably the NCAAs for them again this year. So shout out to them. I got to talk to the coach this week, and 3 really outstanding players. That's quite a program up, here on the North Shore, the Endicott baseball program for sure.
Super impressive, and should be a lot of home games for the NCAAs, which is always nice. So we know that our friend Jack Dean will be over there watching.
Yeah. All right. Anything else special to watch this week at all, guys? Nikki, they're up in your area. Anything particular?
Well, we got a rematch I'm going to be covering on Sunday morning. Hamilton Wenham and Manchester Essex girls lacrosse. That should be a good Cal matchup. Hornets just have the 1 loss to Ipswich, and Hamilton Wenham had only played 2 games up until last Friday, so they got a busy week. They need to do some catching up, but Hamilton Wenham's got that sophomore standout Evie Bernard, who we've talked about before. Evie, she scored 6 goals in each of their first 2 games, and then they had like 2 weeks off, so she'll be looking to get back at it. I think that'll be a fun one. Manchester's got a pretty good defense, and that's going to be a battle of 2 of the top teams in the Cal, right behind Ipswich right now.
All right, Phil, I wanted to make sure we left a little bit of time for the Bruins and Celtics. Bruins tonight, Phil, do they wrap it up in Game 5 here tonight?
I mean,
as we speak
so.
on Tuesday afternoon. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, everything's pointing that way. You got a team that's down. You just beat them twice at home. Their best player is hurt or hurting. The goaltending's a mess. You've totally shut them down. You've gotten in their heads. Everything points to them taking care of business tonight. However, it's not too long ago that they were in the exact same position and were upset by Florida last year, losing 3 straight, including 2 at home in overtime in games 5 and 7. So you can never say never. But again, forced to choose, I would say, yeah. I mean, they should win tonight. They've clearly been the better team in the series, as they were against Toronto during the regular season. They've won 7 out of 8 games against them. They've held them to 7 goals in 4 games, including 1 goal in each of the 3 games that Boston's won. And Jeremy Swayman's played all 3 of those games, so I'm guessing they stick with that. I would like to think they would have learned from their mistakes a year ago. Will come out. I think I used the phrase "drop the hammer" tonight and take care of business.
All right, Nick, what do you think? I really rely on you for the Bruins.
For the Bruins, they got
the picks.
They got it in the bag. You're gonna bring it home tonight. Move on. Stanley Cup is coming, baby.
You did call it, Nick.
I called it. I picked them. How many games did I pick them over the Leafs? I got to look at that and see if I'll have it right.
Probably 5. You probably went to 5. Yeah, yeah. And Matt, yourself on the Bruins?
Oh, I think they have to win tonight. I mean, given the history, if they don't, we're coming home for game 7. They're pretty bad in game 6s over the years. So, to me, yeah, you don't let the Leafs have any life. The Leafs seem like a team in disarray. Nobody knows what's going on with Austin Matthews. Sheldon Keefe might be on his way out as the coach. It just, you want to polish them off. Don't let them get any confidence and see what happens. A lot of people are concerned about the Florida Panthers. I kind of like their chances. These two teams seem very even to me. Florida got the better of them last year, so 50-50. Flip the coin twice, you get one heads, one tails. Maybe this year's the Bruins' year, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but maybe we should timestamp this and play it back in a couple weeks. Can you imagine if we've got Bruins Rangers and Celtics Knicks in the conference finals at the same time? The Garden and the Garden, man, those places will be hopping.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Quite possible. Quite possible.
That's where my money is right now. Those are my 4 teams.
So I would love that matchup. I still say Carolina comes out of that Metro division. But the Rangers are tough, man. No question about that. I mean, they're really good.
Now I'm going to jump over to the Celtics here. Now the series started with the Celtics blasting away. I don't know how many threes they nailed in the first game. Heat come
22.
back 22. The Heat come back with another three-point barrage in game 2 to tie it up. Since that time, it's been kind of back and forth basketball a little bit. Celtics put the pedal down, build up a 10, 15-point lead. And then they play pretty evenly for so long in a game, but they've kind of, I think the Celtics are lulling Miami to sleep here. It almost seems like in this series, but the next game they have a chance to take out the Heat in the playoffs.
Yeah, I just think the talent is starting to weigh in pretty heavily. I mean, the Celtics aren't scoring nearly as efficiently or as many points as they were in the regular season. I mean, the Heat are grinding, they're physical, they're gonna get their stops. I mean, last 2 games the Celtics won, they scored 104 points and 102 last night. So it's not like they're setting the world on fire here offensively, but they're playing some great defense. They after that game 2 loss where the Heat hit 23 threes, like you alluded to, I think they've been closing out a little better on the 3-pointers and committing to those rotations. The Heat are throwing a lot of different looks at them, but again, I just think the talent is starting to weigh out, and Boston should have the ability to put it away on Wednesday at TD Garden. I just think that there's too much. But the big concern now is Kristaps Porzingis, who we know left last night's game, 102-88 win. I think he might have rolled his ankle a little bit earlier, a couple possessions earlier, and then he ended up coming up awkwardly and holding his calf area a couple plays later, which looked non-contact. So that's not good. They assured us that it's not his Achilles, but he's going to be getting an MRI on Tuesday. And if it is the calf, I mean, that could be something that lingers for quite a while. You don't want to rush back from that sort of thing and risk injury to, the Achilles. We saw what happened to Kevin Durant a few years ago in the playoffs where he tried to come back too quickly with the calf injury and tore his Achilles. So you got to be careful with that, especially for a guy his size, the way he moves. I don't know. I think they have enough anyway to beat the Heat without him. And we'll see what happens in the next round if he can be ready to take on either Orlando or Cleveland, who both will be, I think, physically imposing matchups. They got plenty of size, both those teams. That series is tied 2-2 as we record this. And I don't know, that one could go 7, but it'd be nice at least to get Porzingis some extra rest if they can put the Heat away on Wednesday and go from there. And I think if he's not able to come back at some point, it's going to make things a lot more difficult for the Celtics, especially against a team like the Knicks that we talked about. They're up 3-1 now on the Sixers, and we'll just see. I mean, again, I think talent has started to weigh out against this Heat team, but if they play a Knicks team that's just as physical and just as tough as the Heat, but with more talent, we're going to have an interesting series.
Nick, Jalen Rose is becoming like a legend in New York basketball circles, huh?
Jalen Brunson?
Jalen Rose. Jalen Brunson.
Jalen Brunson, yeah. The Knicks fans love him. He's like the second coming right now. I mean, setting all sorts of records. What do you have? 47 points the other night, 10 assists.
Yeah.
No Knicks player has ever done that before in the playoffs. I mean, and they've had some good players in years past. So yeah, he just gets to his spots so easily. He can score in a variety of ways. There's not really one guy that can guard him, I don't think. So obviously the Celtics have the ability to throw Derek White and Drew Holiday at him, which is a huge benefit. But he's a tough player. He's going to get his points. He's been fun to watch.
I saw the Doyle boys at the Garden the other day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's the Madison Square Garden, not the TD Garden.
Oh, they were nice.
Nick, looking at the Celtics, I think it might be a good sign that their big guns are not scoring the big points right now because others are doing it. It's like, I kind of liken it to like the Red Sox with David Ortiz. You want David Ortiz to hit the 2 home runs to win it for you when you're in Game 6 of the World Series, when you need when you really need the win. But night in and night out, if you're getting contributions or winning games other ways, I think that may be the road to success for the Celtics. In other words, they're not wearing people out like Jason Tatum in Game 4. He had a game, but they didn't need him to do what he could do so often.
You're not like my Lakers relying on LeBron James at 39 years old to score 40 points and take control of the game. That's the benefit of having all this depth. That's why Brad Stevens brought in Holiday and Porzingis and signed Derek White. And, Derek White had 38 points last night. He was huge. So, yeah, you can kind of shut down Tatum or Brown on any given night. But if they're not cooking, someone else is going. And that's been the recipe for the Celtics, just wearing them down with the depth. And like I said, just more talent than this Heat team, especially without Butler and Rozier. So it's nice to see these other guys. But all starters in double figures last night, I believe, for the Celtics, and you're getting contributions from a lot of different guys. So yeah, that's huge, and that's huge in the playoffs to have that depth.
Oh, quickly, just we got a couple minutes left here. Patriots draft. Any thoughts?
No complaints
quarterback. Seems to be a good fit for the system. It just goes to show all the pre-draft nonsense doesn't mean anything once they draft the player. I'm excited to see what they can do, what the 2 receivers they drafted in the top 4 rounds can bring. I mean, there were no miracles here. It's not going to happen overnight, but totally fine with Jacoby Brissett starting out and breaking in May. Maybe you get him going in the second half of the season a little bit, see what he can do. But I think it's cause for optimism. I mean, I might not be so happy if I was a Falcons fan. You draft Penix in 8th overall after giving Kirk Cousins everything but all the peach trees in Georgia. So that's kind of strange. But for a Patriots fan, I think you have to be optimistic. Good draft.
That one was tough to figure out, and I didn't realize that Penix was like 24 years old.
Yeah.
So he's not even going to be, playing or starting until another couple. He's going to be 26, 27 before he even starts. I mean, if Kirk Cousins stays healthy and plays well, which they paid him a lot of money, so I don't think they're going to be quick to bench him. But yeah, that was interesting. They could have traded down. They could have, got some talent at a different position there. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But in terms of the Patriots, I thought Drake May was the right pick. I mean, who knows? What do we really know about Drake May? We've just seen the highlights. I mean, who watches North Carolina football, right? I've seen his highlights. I've seen some of his tape. He's got potential. I'm just glad we don't have to watch Mac Jones this year again.
And Atlanta passed on Bill Belichick too.
And yeah.
Fair point.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Point.
Yeah, you can't, coach. All right, fine, maybe not. But all right, gentlemen. Why don't we stop here and we'll enjoy this great spring weather or whatever in a few days, but whatever. But gentlemen, always good talking with you, and thanks for all the information.
You too, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.